This is episode 2 on the JFK assassination from UAP. We're going to go over, number 1, the burn document that was saved from Nixon's purge of all the MJ12 documents, and also the MK Ultra angle. Okay, we're going to start this next section of the project up by going over in detail, as part of a review, these burned memo pages. And they estimate the date on these to be 1963. And I want you to note here that this is a high confidence level. These are good documents. You can go on the MAJESTIC document site and read these. They were snatched from a fire. They detail the information provided. There's no date on them. They're estimating the early 60s. There is of note is a statement, "Y'all must know Lancer" is the code word for JFK. We'll go over that in a second. These are the 8 tabs of directives here, so on and so forth, freedom of information, PSYOP. We're going to go over these in a second. Now, this is an interesting, what I interpret this to be, perform spike, and then this is regarding biological weapons, spike and house cleaning operations in major population centers. In the event that conventional methods are not satisfactory, would this be craft retrieval where there are live EBs and where conventional methods were not satisfactory and they decided to use chemical weapons? We don't know. Interesting. This is actually what I am most interested in here with regards to our look at the JFK assassination. Specialists from MK Ultra and Artichoke are hereby activated to conduct domestic. Now, they say it has to do with UFO retrieval. I think there's some new information that has come to be, and that changes the whole meaning of this MK Ultra topic here, and it involves the JFK assassination. Now, this is the first burn document here. I'm just going to go over it. I've highlighted here, it's difficult to see, but it says need to know should be granted to the Director FBI for maintenance of secrecy until such time the FBI involvement is no longer required. So again, was this part of the JFK assassination? Including the FBI in the loop. I don't know, but you can come to your own. There are, these are some other directives. There was a series of directives they were deciding on here. Now, this is interesting. Reference to Blue Book is authorized only when responding to public and congressional inquiries. In other words, no, they're going to stick with the Blue Book. They're not going to use any other sources. Now, the directive regarding freedom of information, temporarily denied until the threat of exposure is eliminated. So, is this in preparation of, the Kennedy assassination? That's the way I read it. I don't know. I'm sure these experts have their own opinions. This is talking about units authorized to interrogate any and all targets. This may be involving UFO retrievals. Now, this is a directive regarding biological weapons. And they talk about house cleaning. I had mentioned this before. It says specialists from MK Ultra and Artichoke are hereby activated to conduct domestic. So the biological weapons, could this be for crash retrievals? I don't know. MK Ultra is stated here, are hereby activated to conduct domestic. Now, I don't know what Artichoke is, but MK Ultra is directly related, in my opinion, to Jack Ruby. And this is in light of new information that has come up. And to conduct domestic, we're going to go over this in a second. And as we go down here, directive regarding project environment. Now, this is kind of speak code, okay? When conditions become, and I believe this is the point of this whole memo, is setting up the Kennedy assassination. This is my opinion. When conditions become non-conductive for growth in our environment and Washington cannot be influenced any further. Now, what was happening? You know, Kennedy was talking about partnering with the USSR on a space, on the moon mission, of sharing all UFO information. That was his proposal. He had James Webb working on it. And this was, you know, the exact opposite, diametrically opposed to what this MJ12 existed for, was to keep this secret, and especially with military implications and others, but certainly not to let the USSR know. And so when conditions become non-conductive for growth in our environment and Washington cannot be influenced any farther, and that is stopping Kennedy. And Kennedy had made moves with executive orders to execute this plan of his, kind of taking a global view. You know, Reagan had said, what if our planet was under attack by aliens? Wouldn't we all work together? I think that's what Kennedy was looking at here. When Washington cannot be influenced any further, and I believe that's Kennedy, the weather is lacking any precipitation. It should be wet. Wet is spy speak for blood spilled, and this is the assassination. And I think that that's about it. Now, this is actually the first in that list. And this is, they're estimating, created about 1963. And it's from the Director of Central Intelligence. And he is designated as MJ1. I don't know if that was, I'm not sure who that was. I believe it may be the individual which Kennedy fired. And it's sent to MJ2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. From Majestic Jehovah, Project Majestic Jehovah. We don't know what that is. Enviro Parasite, blah, 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 blah. The context, it has become necessary to review and evaluate duplicate field activities in light of the current situation. So they're working to tighten up security and stuff, and expecting something to happen. And I just want to skip through this to keep this video brief, and I suggest that you look at this on your own on the Majestic Documents website. Finding acceptable solutions which we all can agree on. Okay? I have drafted new directives for your review and consideration. Please evaluate each draft on its own merit with the goal of finding acceptable solutions we can all agree on. Okay, so this is the problem. As you know, you must know, Lancer, which is Kennedy's Secret Service call sign, John F. Kennedy, JFK secret call sign, Lancer, has made some inquiries regarding our activities, which we cannot allow. Please submit your views no later than October. That's a critical date. The point is, the Kennedy initially asked for a briefing on MJ12 activities, and he has moved again with James Webb to share information on aliens and UFOs with the USSR, and to jointly develop an Apollo space mission with the USSR, sharing technology. These are all diametrically opposed to the goals of MAJESTIC 12. So just some interesting things here. Original carbon, do not remove from safe. In the unlikely event a subject has identified objects or weapons as a subject matter, under discussions with the chief executive, so this I would imply would be Kennedy and so on and so forth, they're giving instructions on here. First, they should ask, why they're asking the question, and under no circumstances should any member, or by inference, subject is classified as that the subject is classified as a national security threat. So they're not to say that the UAP problem is a security threat. And they're actually told not to question them and try to dodge the answer. In the unlikely event that UFOs overtly display hostile intent towards the security of the United States, as a group, this is MJ12, and after consultation, should a full disclosure be made in accordance with the law as required. So, the implication of this is that there has been no full disclosure to the president on the activity of MJ12, and if there's a hostile act, then they're going to be required to show it by law. So, again, Eisenhower's speech, beware the military-industrial complex. This is the need to know. This is the wall that Carter and a lot of other presidents came up against. And your president, you don't need to know. This is what they're talking about. But again, the mention of Lancer. And I do believe these are all focused on the same topic, and you see the date no later than October, and if this is not dated, but if it's roughly dated, I mean, this coincides, in my mind, with them getting ready for this wet solution, as they say. Now, this is just a bit more background on MK Ultra, which was mentioned in Section 1 of this Kennedy report. Between 57 and 64, it's thought as early as 48, which was following the war, psychiatric experiments were taking place in Montreal. Now, reading between the lines and based on other research, this MK Ultra research would have been, illegal in the United States, and it was moved, therefore, to Canada across the border, funded by the Central Intelligence Agency, and this is based on, again, Joseph Mengele's MK Ultra program in the death camps of World War II under the Nazi regime. These were, this individual, Donald Ewan Cameron, was in charge. So mind control, there's all kind of sketchy experiments were done. Focus on the treatment of schizophrenia. He believed he'd be cured by de-patterning, erasing memories, and bringing patients to a childlike state. Personalities would then be rebuilt using psychic driving, which was the playing of recordings, so on and so forth. These were human experiments, and again, we've got a connection to the Central Intelligence Agency elsewhere in Canada, and violation. The MK experiments without the patient's consent, and so this was a very dodgy program. Drugs were involved. LSD was involved. Other things. By the way, the MK Ultra, and I'm just going to be taking us back to the top here. MK Ultra has been defined now as the use of drugs, physical and sexual abuse, and hypnosis in combination, to produce the desired outcome. So this is some pretty nasty stuff. Again, I think this is relevant to the JFK assassination program. Okay, trying to move quickly here. This is just a little background on MK Ultra. This is Wikipedia. As I said, this began in the death camps under Josef Mengele. It was a program to develop a super soldier for Adolf Hitler that could not be influenced, and according to my research, that it was stated by telepathic messages and other means by reptilian aliens or reptoid aliens. There's also said to be a connection between the planet Aldebaran and Germany specifically, which allows these types of transmissions because there's a hole supposedly in the magnetosphere that centers over Germany and allows direct contact between these two places. According to these other researchers, this is why Germany has such advanced engineering and so forth. Anyway, let's get back to this. MK Ultra, illegal human experimentation, CIA funded, used during interrogations to weaken people and force confessions through brainwashings and psychological torture. It began in 1953. That's not true. It began during World War II, halted in 1973. I believe it's still being used, certainly with the 20 and back, some of the 20 and back soldiers, and some of, there's one particular 20 and back soldier who was recruited, forced in by the Illuminati, who went through this process with a lot of other children. Evidently, it works very well with, much better than with adults, with children. Used numerous methods to manipulate subjects' mental states and brain functions. High doses of LSD and psychoactive drugs and chemicals, electroshocks, hypnosis, sensory deprivation, isolation, verbal and sexual abuse, and other forms of torture. And that is really the cocktail for MK Ultra. There's a lot of really good books on this. I think one is Kathy O'Brien. Perhaps I'll do a video on that one day. Anyway, moving on to the next section here. Now, this is a book by Tom O'Neill, Chaos, Charles Manson, the CIA, and the Secret History of the 60s. This is a great book. Joe Rogan did a number of interviews with this guy. He's done some other interviews. he has discovered through his research many new items of interest that no one was aware of. Now, I'm going to try to move this. We may have to edit to the next portion. MK Ultra was a secret mind control program which LSD, sleep deprivation, hypnosis, illegally without their consent, to brainwashing by the CIA, run by Sidney Gottlieb. Gottlieb reported to CIA Director Allen Dulles and later to CIA Director Richard Helms. Woo. Manchurian Candidate. Okay, now, what we want to get to here is much has been written about the secretive CIA program, and there have been congressional investigations. Before discussing the CIA MK Ultra connection to Jack Ruby any further, let me state that Tom O'Neill's book Chaos is an extraordinary work of investigative journalism that blows apart the narrative about Charles Manson, who also was a MK Ultra experiment. Tom O'Neill talks about Manson. Tom O'Neill is able, for the very first time, to document a connection between Jack Ruby, the mob-connected Dallas strip club owner who murdered accused assassin Lee Harvey Oswald, with a top MK Ultra doctor who worked directly under Sidney Gottlieb, the head of the MK Ultra program for the CIA. Author O'Neill discovered the smoking gun document while researching Chaos, discovered evidence in the form of written correspondence to the papers of Dr. Joylin West, known to his friends as Jolly. He was an acolyte of Gottlieb and the MK Ultra. I am going to forego reading the rest of this and just tell you what I know of this situation. This is a picture of the doctor here. And Jolly was a well-known LA psychiatrist, UCLA Department of Psychiatry. So he donated his papers. Now, this is the thing. He was a practitioner of MK Ultra, supposedly. It's implied that he was. It is implied that he stated that he could induce insanity without the patient ever knowing that insanity had been induced on him. What Tom O'Neill, the author, says in his book is that the day before, and there's some question as if, perhaps Jack Ruby had been an MK Ultra patient all along and had been programmed to shoot Lee Harvey Oswald. But in any case, the day before Jack Ruby was to testify, he was visited by Jolly West, who was appointed by the court to do an evaluation of him, I believe. And after he left, he declared Jack Ruby insane. And of course, the implication is, and Jack Ruby, after the visit from this psychiatrist, claimed that they were boiling children in cells down the hall, and so on and so forth. Again, it's alleged that this psychiatrist said he could induce madness through use of the MK Ultra program, which he was aware of, without the subject even knowing it had occurred. And of course, after Jack Ruby was declared insane, he could not testify at his own trial as to why he shot Oswald. And this is the link to JFK of MK Ultra. And I think it's fascinating. This is all new information. And I think there may be a picture, no, perhaps not, I'll have to find one, of Jack Ruby shooting Lee Harvey Oswald. And this is inside the archive of an LSD researcher with ties to this MK Ultra, and this is Jolly. Jolin Wist have used chemical hypnosis in his medical practice, possibly leading to the death of a child and execution of an innocent man. So you guys can take a look at this on your own time, but I think this is fascinating, covering the tracks of the assassination. And just let me interject here that when Lee Harvey Oswald said he was a patsy, a bit of research I did said that he did the shooting, walked out of the building, went to the side of the building. There was supposed to be a car waiting there to spirit him away. It was gone. That's when he went on foot and so forth. And he was set up as the patsy and the lone shooter. And before Oswald could testify, he was killed by Ruby. And before Ruby could testify about why he shot Oswald, he was turned into a madman by Jolly West. So, a well-executed MK Ultra program, the assassination of John F. Kennedy. Now, just as a addendum here, this is Dorothy Kilgowan's homepage. Dorothy Kilgowan was also mentioned in those FBI reports. She was found dead in her apartment in New York City, an overdose, sitting fully dressed as if to go out to a nightclub, still had her shoes on in her bed. A very strange turn of events. Wife, mother, investigator of the Kennedy assassination, friend of Frank Sinatra and confidant of Johnny Ray. What exactly did she know about Jack Ruby, and how did she die? She was going to interview, she had been following the trial of Jack Ruby and was going to interview Jack Ruby and get to the bottom of his motivation and so forth. And she also ended up with a mysterious death, quite similar to Marilyn Monroe, and another link yet to the Kennedy assassination. This has been part 2 of the UAP investigation into the assassination of John F. Kennedy. We wanted to emphasize some of the new developments in this information, especially the MK Ultra angle. I hope you guys liked it. As well, we wanted to go over that last burn document, a document with very high confidence by Bob Wood, the forensic document expert. Hope you'll tune in for the next episode. Goodbye now.